Hi everyone, today I'm going to try and tell you all you need to know about compression. There's obviously a lot you can do with compression, but first you need to know the basics. As an example, I'm going to use Logic's built-in compressor. First of all, what is compression? The idea behind compression is to reduce the overall dynamic range of an audio signal. In other words, the difference between the quietest and loudest parts. By compressing a signal in this way, you can then raise the overall gain such that you have a much louder output without the danger of clipping. This is where compression comes in with regard to mastering a song, where you want to make the song sound as loud as possible, and in this case, compression is typically used in conjunction with a limiter. Let's take a look now at some of the compressor's controls. To demonstrate some stuff, I've just got a simple drum track here, so we're just going to put a compressor on that now. So here it is. The compressor reduces the gain of the input when it exceeds a certain threshold, which you can see here, set at -30 dB. The amount by which it's reduced depends on the compressor's ratio over here. For example, as you can see from the graph, with a ratio of 2:1, if the input exceeds the threshold by, say, 10 dB, it will be reduced so that the output signal only exceeds it by 5. No matter what number you pick as your input here, it's always reduced by the same factor, the ratio, so 20 over would be reduced to 10 over, and so on. It's the same idea for other ratios shown here in different colours. It's just reducing input by a different factor. Higher ratios result in harsher compression, with the compressor almost acting like a limiter at the highest ratios. Let's play the drum track and change the ratio around and see how it sounds. So we're starting off with a ratio of 1:1, in other words, no compression being applied. And you should start to hear the difference as I increase that ratio. So a very compressed sound, as you'd expect. Now you also notice that it goes quieter as I increase that ratio, and that's obviously because the loud parts are getting reduced more and more harshly. So what we've also got is an auto gain, which tells the compressor to automatically boost the signal level so the output peaks at 0 dB or -12 dB. You also have a slider here with which you can manually adjust the output gain. So if we set the auto gain at -12 and keep playing the track, you'll see that no matter how much I adjust the ratio, it's about the same loudness overall. Alright, now for some of the other parameters. Knee is a parameter which controls how smooth the application of the compression is around the threshold. A value of 0 or a hard knee makes the compressor act very rigidly around the threshold. You can see that hard corner there on the graph. Whereas soft knee values act more gently. And you can see as I increase the knee, the graph is a bit more smooth around that threshold value of -30. Attack and release determine how quickly the compressor reacts and lets off, respectively. In this manner, a longer attack would let more of the transients through before kicking in, which can be quite obvious when compressing something like a drum track, like we've got here. If I increase the attack, you'll hear more of the transient coming through before being compressed. Whereas a really low attack really doesn't let much of that through at all. Logic's compressor also has an auto release, which is very useful and means you don't really have to play around with the release manually. There's also a limiter you can apply after the gain step, which will reduce any peak to a fixed threshold. And you've also got these peak and RMS options here below the threshold. These are two different ways of analysing the loudness of the signal to determine whether it's breached the threshold or not. Peak has more technical accuracy, but RMS is typically better perceptually, i.e. from a listener's point of view. So those are your main controls, that's pretty much it. And once you know how they work, you can really start to play around with them yourself in different situations or on different instruments. Another thing Logic has is a multiband compressor. This can be quite useful when mastering a whole mix. In this case, there are up to 4 different frequency bands which each have their own compressor and expander. And the principles behind all of these controls are exactly the same as in the single band case. So that's compression in a nutshell. If you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up would be great. If you've got any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.